Today I want to talk to you about the Neewer Desk Mount rig. Specifically, it's the DS007, but Amazon calls it something different, so let me read it to you. It is the Neewer overhead camera stand desk mount rig with 4 boom arms for photography, video, light, ring light, phone mount, webcam, mic, compact, DSLR for live streaming, broadcast, online teaching, meeting, DS007. That was a lot. But listing titles aside, I want to talk about all the features and kind of what you can expect putting it together and if this is right for you. I got this because I have a couple of things set up on my desk for recording here, and I wanted everything nice and consolidated, so I didn't have to have like tripods and other stands in the way. So what I have is my cameras right here. I have a LED that's kind of like pointing up into the ceiling. I have a softbox right here on this side, and I have a laptop. So that's how I have everything utilized. And I obviously have a mic stand here, but it's connected to the edge of the desk, and I'll explain why in a minute. And by the way, this review is not sponsored at all, but I will leave an affiliate link down in the description if you are interested in picking it up for yourself. So I talked a little bit in the intro about why this is useful for me and my setup, but for you, if you're interested in consolidating your setup, you can have everything all in one place. So the mount includes a lot of attachments, which is what was attractive to me, and it's super durable and heavyweight, which is also a consideration that I thought was useful. You can attach a laptop, a monitor. It also has a tablet stand, and then you can attach a microphone or a second light, an LED light, and a camera. But like, things are kind of swappable, so you can unscrew a lot of the mounts, and then you can kind of make configurations with how you expect to use them. And the other thing is, because the base is super sturdy, you can use this big center column as a stepping point off for other mounts and other clamps. So if you have a lot of stuff to mount and you want something really strong and durable, this might be for you. Now let's walk through how it shows up to you in your house, what you can expect when you unbox it. In the box, you get the actual desk base, which you see is really sturdy, and I like it a lot. You also get an extra ball head, which you'll see why that comes in handy in a few minutes. You get a V-mount, which is how you mount the laptop or the monitor, which, by the way, you can only do one or the other. You can't do both at the same time. You get the actual laptop mount. You get the monitor mount, which has the VESA attachment. Or is it VESA? VESA? I think it's VESA. You get the mic boom arm, the camera boom arm, the light boom arm, some Allen wrenches, some extra screws, and the tablet attachment. Putting it together, it's as simple as attaching the base to your desk, which is super easy. My desk is like super thin, but if you have a desk that's like really thick and beefy, then you can accommodate that by adjusting some of the screws and then moving the plate back to give you a little bit more depth in the ability to mount the base. So the base should really fit like most things that you want to clamp it to, so you shouldn't have any issues there. The boom arms slide right onto the base, and once they're there, you can make all of your adjustments. And that's kind of it. There's really not much to it. I mean, you're making most of your adjustments on the boom arms once they're already attached to the base, but setting it up is super straightforward. Here are some quick notes that I found when I was putting it together myself. The monitor arm or the laptop, basically the V-mount, you can only really get it so low. So you can put it basically to the bottom of the base, but once it's there, the way the arms are articulating, the laptop stands about maybe 16 inches or so off of the desk itself. The monitor will be too, maybe a little bit lower since the VESA mount is mounted like higher up on the monitor, but the laptop sits like fairly high on the desk. And that's because the way that the articulation works, there's no like horizontal axis articulation that the laptop or the monitor mount does, because it's not on a ball head, so you can't get that fine-tuned adjustments. So you're kind of limited to that. That doesn't really bother me, because when you're sitting, that's actually, the screen is at a good height, so I think that's fine. The other thing to know is, because of the maximum like reach of the boom arms, you can really only get so far. So if you have a really ultra-wide monitor or something like a monitor that's a different dimension, you might have issues with positioning. I was reading some reviews, and people had issues mounting like ultra wide monitors. If you have a standard monitor, 24, 27 inches, I don't think you'll have a problem. The other thing to know is, like in my situation when I had the boom arm all the way down for the laptop, make sure you do some of the fine-tune tightening and adjusting kind of before you drop it all the way down. Otherwise, the screws on the bottom are really hard to access with the Allen wrenches. Now let's do a deep dive into each part. Most of the boom arms are all virtually the same. They all have integrated cable management. They pivot in multiple directions. Everything is very sturdy. The boom arms can hold a lot of weight. I don't have the exact weight requirements or maximum weight for each of the boom arms, but I will say that my laptop is a 14-inch MacBook Pro, and that's sitting on the boom arm for the V-mount and no issues. I have a heavier LED light panel, no issues, and my mirrorless camera is pretty light, again, no issues. I think the boom arms aren't the issue. If you're concerned with weight, maybe the ball head is where you want to have some consideration to change, but the boom arms themselves are all super sturdy. And the construction of everything is made from metal and plastic. Most of the pieces that contract and expand are made of flexible plastic. That will be some of the clamps that once you attach the boom arm, the clampy thing that actually controls the tension, that's all plastic and it's super flexible. The actual boom arms and some of the joints are all mostly metal. So you're really getting a mix of metal and plastic with the construction of everything. The desk mount, like I said, is super sturdy. When I was picking out a desk mount, what I was looking for was actually the shipping weight, and I noticed that this model from Neewer was, I forget, I think it's 17 pounds, but that's everything. So all that to say that the boom arm is nice and sturdy and heavy. I was looking at some other models from other brands, and the shipping weight was a lot less, 11 pounds, maybe even less. So that kind of told me that everything wasn't as durable. And I was kind of going off of shipping weight as this is a really strong type of desk mount. I talked a bunch about the V-mount already, and like I said, you can mount your laptop or your monitor, but not both. You only get one V-mount. V-mount is not something I really knew of before. It's kind of it has it's like a plate, and then you kind of slide. The plate is what's attached to the boom arm, and then you have the attachments, so the VESA mount and the actual laptop stand, and they kind of clip into the V-mount. I wish that you had some sort of option for free articulation. So if you wanted to get in multiple different angles or really fine tune your adjustments of your monitor based on how you're articulating the arms, I wish that you had that control. With the laptop, I have a 14-inch MacBook Pro, like I said. It's pretty flexible. I think that you can fit easily a 16-inch MacBook. I'm pretty sure you can fit a 17-inch laptop. I'm not sure if those exist. I think probably gaming laptops and other bigger ones, but you won't have any issues with anything like that. Anything bigger than a 17-inch laptop, I might reconsider. So the camera arm is pretty good. I think one of the most important features is the actual strength. I had my camera on some other flexible mount, and I was a little worried that it was going to give out at one point. And I also had my camera on a tripod originally, and I kept bumping it, and it really wasn't a good solution. So the camera arm is good. I'm looking at it now. The articulation is pretty good because you can really get a lot of different angles, and you can get it pretty far back from the mount, which is nice. That's exactly what I wanted it for. Like I mentioned before, the camera boom arm comes with a ball head, and you also get an extra ball head, which I promise I will tell you about. But the ball head is okay. You might want to update that, especially if you have an extra one laying around. But I'm using the ball head that it came with, and it's fine. If you have a really heavy camera or a heavier lens, or you're mounting other things like a teleprompter or microphones or lights to your camera's cold shoe or hot shoe mount, I might consider updating the ball head, but I think you're fine. I'm using a mirrorless Sony a7 III with a 28 millimeter lens, and it's totally fine. I trust that it's going to hold. The light boom arm is pretty good. The purpose that I wanted to use it for was mounting it really high on the boom arm so that I can get a really nice directional 45-degree angle-ish light shining on me, and this is my primary light. I will say I really wish that the light boom arm did have a articulation, so you can really move it around however you want. And then I did realize that you do get an extra ball head, but how do you attach the ball head to the light mount and then also have a light mount? So I'm not sure if you can unthread the actual little metal piece that comes on top of the light mount, but I did have an extra one of those laying around. So what I did was I threaded the extra ball head on top of the light stand, little light stand attachment, and then I put another one on top, and then I mounted my light. So I can actually move my light all the way around, which is exactly what I was looking for because the light stand head itself doesn't really articulate. So either if you have that ball head that you want to use for that, or if your light actually has something that moves around, keep that in mind. And lastly, the mic stand. The mic stand sits on the light mount, which I thought was really interesting. And because I had my light boom arm really high, that also meant that the mic would be really high. And it's all the way up here, if you can see that. And my mic, the way that my mic is, I really need it like close to me. I don't have a shotgun mic. So I think that position for the mic stand would be fine if you have a shotgun mic and you can get it right out of the frame. But that wouldn't work for the type of microphone that I have. So what I actually did was I mounted a LED panel to my mic stand and kind of have it shining in this direction to kind of give a little bit more light all the way around, and that worked. So, I mean, depending on your situation, that integrated mic stand might work for you. This is the solution that worked for me. For my final thoughts, I totally think it's worth it. I was looking around for way too many hours that I would like to admit, and this is the stand that I found to be exactly what I was looking for in terms of attachments, articulation, and everything like that. I'm going to run through some of the pros and cons to sort of see if this is right for you. I like that the stand is really nice and sturdy. It really doesn't wobble around, even if your desk is moving. I mean, I see my camera bobbling a little bit. I think it really depends on how far you have things out from the center. I mean, realistically, you're going to have wobbling with virtually everything. If you're moving your desk around a lot, be kind of mindful that things could shift around. Nothing is going to be like rock solid, but these are the pros. So I will say that I'm pretty happy with the stability that I've seen with everything once you get everything tightened down. It's nice that you have multiple ways to position the arm, so there's a lot of flexibility in the articulation. Even though I said that I had some limiting factors, it doesn't matter because I still was able to really get everything positioned exactly how I wanted it, and I was able to do some workarounds that were even included in the desk mount itself. I like that you can attach your laptop, and it comes with an integrated laptop stand. That's not something that I was expecting to like, but I have really liked having to have a empty desk and have everything really off of it. That also means that you can put things under your laptop that you weren't able to do otherwise. So you can put storage and other things that can really help organize your desk. It's nice that you get a lot of attachments too. You get 2 ball heads, which you learned was super handy. You get the laptop stand, the monitor mount, and you get a tablet stand, and then all the attachments and all the boom arms, all those things. So I was actually really excited to get the tablet mount because I did use the tablet as like a teleprompter, and then I tested it and it looked terrible. So I'll think of another solution for that later. But having the integrated tablet mount was really nice. There wasn't really a good way to attach it. I guess I probably could have attached my iPad to the boom arm if I wanted to, as I was sort of figuring out where I wanted it. But what I actually did was attach my iPad to the mount. I clamped it with a super clamp, and then I used the iPad or the tablet attachment that came with it to sort of get it right next to my lens, and that was a good way to have everything set up so I can review my notes. And for the cons, the first one is kind of the like multi-degree articulation like I mentioned. I did find it kind of limiting on how I wanted to position certain things. The ball heads were a huge help, but I wish that the actual heads themselves had some like circular 360-degree articulation that you could set up. I wish that the microphone stand had a little bit more flexibility. It's kind of that standard like pole microphone stand with springs, and I wish that you can actually lower it lower than the like base of the stand. You're kind of limited to like a very specific access, because what I really wanted is to be able to drop the microphone stand and kind of have it in front of me, but because the microphone is mounted so high, I was pretty limited on its ability to lower into the exact position. Although I'm pretty happy that I couldn't mount the mic, because then I figured that I can mount an LED light, which I'm actually much happier with the position of that. So it is a con, but it's a limitation that I think you can work around. Up to you. Lastly, probably one of the most annoying cons is all the tightening for the articulation arms are actually Allen wrenches, and there's 2 sizes, which I don't know why. But I kind of wish that everything was like wing nuts, because once you really want to fine-tune your adjustments and attaching everything, you have to get in with an Allen wrench, you have to tighten things up, and you have to keep track of 2 Allen wrenches based on how you really want to get everything. It's kind of like maybe a one-time type of adjustment, because once you get everything situated, you're probably not going to really make a lot of other adjustments. And plus, the whole point of this mount is like the boom arms are somewhat flexible. So tightening doesn't really mean like locking into place. It really means like lessening the tension to make things not move on their own. But you're still going to be able to like move things around freely, but the tightening is only going to make it so that they don't happen on their own. And then here are some general like bits of feedback and other things that you might want to know. I do wish that you were sent some sort of Velcro ties, because that's something I did on my own to sort of really get everything organized. The other thing is you have like two types of channels for the cable organization. You have kind of like a loop that's at the bottom that's kind of like able to catch the cable right before it goes into whatever you want to plug into. And then you also get like a longer channel. And the channel is so that you can kind of run your cable up one of the like points of articulation on the arms. Standard USB cables like USB-A or especially USB-C will have no problem routing in. And especially like a MacBook MagSafe charger and no issues. You will have issues with some of those like elbow power cables. You might have issues routing those into the channels. I tried to find arms that Neewer sold that can attach to this specific desk mount, but I wasn't really able to find like a second V-mount arm or anything like that. So if you're looking to mount other things, there's a lot of brands that sell super clamps, and you could do other creative ways to attach. I think it's more important to have a really sturdy base. And plus, once you have 1, 2, 3, 4 boom arms attached, you actually do still have a lot of space on the base to expand if you were looking to do that. And lastly, I kind of wish some of the boom arms were a little bit longer. I have my light here, it's fully extended, and it's in a good position, but I kind of wish it was a little bit farther, maybe 6 inches, maybe a foot farther that way. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the Neewer desk mount. It really helped neaten up my desk, and it made it so that I didn't have to buy arms for specific things, because that can really add up if you have to get an arm or a tripod for your camera, a light stand, a monitor stand, a laptop stand. Like, all those things on their own can add up, and it's nice how you get all of them at once. Plus, it's nice how everything's integrated into one centralized place. So for me, this worked out really well. If you made it this far, thanks for watching this long, in-depth review of the Neewer desk mount. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. See you in the next one.